Hi guys, we're flipping the script here. No sponsorship, just a single request. It's you who powers our mission. Join us in empowering founders, business leaders and entrepreneurs to build great businesses, increase their income and provide sufficiently for their families to make a difference in this world. A single ask I have of you is to please review and share this podcast. 1 minute of your time could make a difference in a fellow entrepreneur's life, so please review this podcast today. It'll make a world of difference to you, to me and our community. It's not fun dealing with an unhappy client, but as an entrepreneur, I look at this as positive feedback because I've got to fix it, and if I can't fix it, the responsibility lies with me. I'm not doing my job and I should be fired. So if something's not happening down the line, I need to take responsibility. Now I need to make sure that is remedied. Hey Contractors Chronicles community, welcome to another weekly podcast. I'm excited to bring you another session of sharing my weaknesses and sharing my strengths and telling you where I am in my businesses, what I've learned this week, and hopefully I resonate with any other entrepreneurs out there, because I'm having such a time of my life at the moment. Growing my first couple of businesses from pizzerias to online businesses, I've picked up certain nuances in running businesses, and I can feel that at this stage of my life, it's definitely becoming, it's more fun growing my business, and I want to share the secret with you. But first, I've got to be honest with you. This week has been challenging. We had an installation issue with one of our team members where our client wasn't happy, and obviously, that's not good, because, if the client comes back to speak to the business owner, it creates stress for the business owner because you want to produce a good product or a good outcome, and the client's unhappy. So we've got unmet expectations, and it's easy to go and say, listen, the client's unhappy, but again, I've got a different attitude. It's like, guys, every client needs to be happy at the end of the day. And some clients we can't make happy, but if there's something that's showing its head regularly, it's a sign of insanity if a business owner is not dealing with those issues. So we had a little quality installation issue, and we're going to be digging deeper into that next week, where I think it's a communication issue and a leadership issue and a management issue, where communication equals the communication that you give. So the communication that you get, i.e. unhappy client, is the communication that you give. So the unhappiness is what I've got. So what were we giving? And I can clearly see that we weren't passing down correct instructions on our installation team when they needed to do a specific project, and the client's expectations weren't managed in the whole process. So the outcome was the client was unhappy, the expectations weren't met, and yes, we've solved the problem, but it's not what the client envisaged. The client's paid us, so equals an unhappy client. So how do we remedy it? Unfortunately, we have, and we're going to be digging deeper into what that meant and how we can improve on it. But again, the communication that we get is the communication that we give. So somehow we were giving incorrect communication. That's been a bit of a learning, and it's not nice going through that process, because it's not fun dealing with an unhappy client. But as an entrepreneur, I look at this as positive feedback because I've got to fix it, and if I can't fix it, the responsibility lies with me. I'm not doing my job and I should be fired. So if something's not happening down the line, I need to take responsibility, and I need to make sure that is remedied in a sustainable way, that as we grow and we scale our business, that doesn't happen anymore. So that might mean more training, it might mean better documentation, it might mean a handover checklist to our installers that they do a job exactly the way it should be done. And we're going to be looking at that in Monday in a bit more depth, and hopefully I can give a bit more feedback there. But what are some of the wins? I've definitely found that one of the wins has been this week. I've realized that I would never be where I was, and let me just explain where I was. We started this installation business. Well, we started a distribution business first of all, installing a flat. It's a membrane, a rubber membrane, for the flat roof market, and it's a waterproofing system that is really, really, really good. But we did find that there was a little bit of resistance in the market, so we had to start installing. And we've been doing that for a couple of years, and I think we've sharpened our sword tremendously there. But I was doing the quotes, I was going out on the roofs, I was doing the quotes, I was speaking to the clients, I was doing the admin, I was wearing all the hats of an entrepreneur, setting up the IT, buying the printer, setting up job card systems, training my staff. And you could see all that ends up being a mess eventually, because it all comes back to you. And I know I'm resonating with entrepreneurs because I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs over my lifetime, and the bottleneck always happens with the entrepreneur's mindset. So the mindset's got to be, how do I bring the right people on board? And one of my learnings of growing all my businesses is that sometimes as entrepreneurs we want to take the shortcut because we can't afford to get good people on board, and we end up hiring C-grade people. We're thinking we can train them, and we actually bullshit ourselves. We bullshit ourselves that we have a solution in this employee. But what really started to change for me was I realized that I needed to hire good people well in advance. So when is a good time to hire? Well, 6 months when you think you need that person, and hire A-grade people. And it's easy to say A-grade person, but what are the characteristics that make up an A-grade person? Because ever since we've had A-grade people joining our team, I've seen huge relief in my stress levels. I've seen increase in revenue, and customers are happier. And it's just the truth. A-grade employee can do the job of many C-grade players, or C-grade employees. So really focusing on those A grades, really taking a risk on some people and finding the right. Maybe the one person doesn't work and we have to chop and change, but the secret is not to take over that role again. Is identifying which areas you need an A grade player, and then slowly finding that right person to bring on board. But that right person has to be an A grade player, because they just do, their productivity is far higher. So here's a statistic. Yeah, and it's a statistic that is associated to the proximity of sitting with someone that's very productive or an A-grade player. So if you sit with someone that's this is in the workplace, if you sit with someone that's very productive, your productivity will go up by 15%. If you sit with someone that's non-productive, your productivity is going to drop by 30%. So imagine having a lot of C-grade players, that the ripple effect is just going to take over in your business where you just don't have productivity. But if you've got A-grade players, that proximity effect kicks in and you have increase in productivity. But here's the thing, that if you don't get A-grade players on board, or let's just maybe conversely put it this way, if you have A-grade players and you've got a lot of C-grade players around them, the biggest frustration for A-grade players is that the C-grade players aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And then the A-grade players get upset, they get annoyed, they get frustrated, and they end up leaving your company, and then you end up with a whole lot of C-grade players. So as an entrepreneur, it's my job to figure out how to get rid of the C-grade, or let's maybe take one step back. How do we get C-grade players and B-grade players to be A-team players? And how do we upgrade them to A-grade players? And if we can't, we got to get rid of them, because you're going to lose your A-grade players. So that was a big learning for me. Is more attention to that detail, because this year is all about team, it's all about systems. We've doubled our revenue on the previous year. We're growing our business systematically, and this is where the wheels come off, and it can come off. So I just want to make sure that our team is absolutely rock solid. And the way I've done that with our business is we've definitely focused more on the culture and bringing in A-grade players and getting the A-grade players to buy into that culture where they also contribute. It's not only my business. They're spending thousands of hours a year in our business. They've got to be happy. And if they're not happy, you end up having, it ends up coming back to the business owner at the end of the day. And that's just not good. So the solution would be for us this year is make sure we get the right people on board. And the second thing is putting the right systems in place, i.e. what I spoke about earlier with the communication that you get is the communication you give. And how can we fix that problem that we had? What system can we put in place that can remedy, as like a checklist or something that can remedy a delegation. So say, for instance, when our leaders are handing over a project, are they communicating effectively, and are they following a system correctly so that there's clear understanding, and are we managing clients' expectations? So for me, I'm thinking already, how am I going to build a system around that so that that never happens again, or very rarely happens as we grow our company. We're always going to have issues growing company. I'm not delusional about that, but it's our job as business owners to take responsibility and remedy those solutions. And then the next podcast, I really want to just talk very, very much to how to get those A-grade players on board, and maybe some characteristic traits on what an A-grade player is made of. And I've noted down some characteristics. So watch the next podcast, because I've had some feedback from people saying, great, we love the idea of getting A-grade players, but what characteristics should I look for in A-grade players? So I'm going to be sharing that in the next podcast. And also to discuss around, there's a very good book called Built to Last. If you haven't read it, please do read it. And they talk about getting the right people on the bus, and because they looked at all the successful companies and they found out that you have to have good people in your business if you want to be successful. And all the successful businesses that were surveyed, the ones that lasted, the ones that were built to last, those ones had good people and getting the right people on the bus. But they don't explain how to get them on the bus, and maybe not enough around the characteristics. So I'm going to be sharing that in the next podcast, and I'm very excited to share this with you now. And if you like this, please, guys, I can encourage you to please share, like, and comment below. We've got a lot of good podcasts that we've done in the past as well. I've got very good feedback from clients about how to build a culture in your company, and I just encourage you, please. This is the way we give back to our community. It's not easy to stand up here and put myself out there, share my warts and share my successes. I'm just not naturally like this, but I feel the more I do it, the more successful I'm going to get. But I need to participate, and I'm asking everyone else to participate. Please share and comment below, and give me feedback. What else would you like me to cover so that we can delve in deeper in the following weeks?